Who's got that weekend feeling? It's time for another What a Shout, the Racing Post feature flagship show every weekend, brought to you somewhere Friday morning in the capital. Dave Orton, delighted to be back with you. What a weekend we have, billed as perhaps the greatest ever on terrestrial television. The racing world explodes. Of course, Doncaster, it's the St Ledger, and Leopardstown for the first time this year in Ireland. Thrilled to say it'll be a sellout there on course. We, of course, have got 7 Group 1s coming your way. Sunday at the Curragh. It's all happening. Do, of course, like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Anything on Facebook and Twitter is hashtag What a Shout. With our sponsors, Bet365. He's back in the studio. Life must be returning to normal. Pat Cooney, prompt as ever, man. You got great feedback from your appearance last week. We're missing Keels. Yes. There's a bit more room between us, but you're looking like he's still. How's life?
Yeah, all good, thanks. And what a weekend this is, isn't it? I mean, this is probably, I would say, the best 48 hours of racing we'll have this weekend. And even Snowfall's running in France, the great Snowfall. And she's not even anywhere near top of the bill, such as the depth of racing. So This is where it's all at this weekend. So really looking forward to it.
Of course, it's the ARC trials as well. Frankie going over to ride Snowfall, who ride in the Oaks as well. Amazing scenes, all kicking off in the States as well. Pat is a huge US racing fan. No Keels, no Rodway. Time to breathe some fresh air into this What a Shout life. It's Tom Collins joining us remotely somewhere in Reading.
Good morning, Dave. How are we?
Yeah, not too bad. Listen, you and Pat, you are, honestly, just the viewers, it's been a nightmare for me. I sat down in it. These two have been going on yada, yada, yada. It's like we should have stars and stripes behind us. Honestly, they love their American sport. NFL, it's all happening at the moment, the US racing as well. But we will concentrate on the domestic action. You know what 10-point Tom's like? He's going to be confident. Let's have a look at exactly what we've got coming up on the show. Hot topics then. We'll be picking up some beauties for you. Baaeed amongst them. Don't you worry about that. We've got a lovely interview for you with Group 1 Johnny Murtagh joins us from his Fox Covert stables in County Kildare. Lovely piece I did with Johnny in the week about that. All about his weekend runners and what might hold the future. And of course, 6 big race previews. Group 1 action all the way. We're not messing around before the weekend naps. Hot topics, let's get amongst them then. Well, I'll tell you what, with this weekend coming up on these 7 Group 1s and in France as well and in the States, wherever you want to look, top class action, the crescendo of the flat season, it begins. The news has been a little bit diluted this week. Usually we could pick hot topics all over the place. However, there's 6 on the screen for you. Regular viewers know the drill by now. The panellists will pick one out and we'll concentrate on it for a minute or 2. Shall we give the floor to Tom Collins, who wants to go, dun dun dun, Baaeed. To Baaeed, Tom, or not to Baaeed?
Well, I think there's a bit of both at the moment, Dave. Everyone wants to believe that Baaeed is the next big deal. And look, in racing, you need that horse that steps up to the top level and, has that air of invincibility, the likes of Frankel had and Ebor, Stradivarius at points of his career as well. So there are hopes for Baaeed, and everyone has their fingers crossed, thinking he could be the next one. However, I think there are reasons to think he's not quite there just yet. And I know it was all over social media that he was a little bit disappointing in the Moulin last time. And he was, because he was workmanlike and he wasn't slooshing through the ground like Frankel did in Champagne Stakes, for example, when he won by double-digit lengths. There was a little bit of worry, wasn't there, on social media? People were saying that Baaeed, maybe he's not all he's hyped up to be. I think he has the potential to be the next big thing. Look, he's already rated the 11th highest horse in the world. That's no mean feat, given he's only had 5 races. He represents leading connections, William Haggis and Shadwell. They deserve another big one. I know they've got plenty of good horses already, but this Baaeed could be unbeatable. That's what we're talking about right now. He's going to the QE2 next month. He's going to rate probably a short price favourite. I think currently around 9-4 at the moment. His victory in the Bonhams at Goodwood, albeit he beat Nothing, the runner-up eventually finished 6th of 7 next time up in a Group 3. He moved through that race like some kind of machine, didn't he? He just literally didn't go into 4th gear. I just loved how he powered through. He's got such a high cruising speed. I think he has to prove himself in the QE2 to propel himself to that top level. What we've seen from St Mark's Basilica this year, Adiyat, etc., I think he needs to go through, win that race easily, get rated 120 plus, and then we could be talking about the next big thing. But he's still got to prove it just yet.
I'll tell you what, he wanted that topic, when we showed what the potential topics were in the week, he grabbed it immediately. Me and you didn't get a look in. Not a chance. And yet he's still sitting on the fence. This is unbelievable. He's gone right around the houses and he said, well, we still don't really know. Pat Cooney. So I think Tom's right, though, isn't he? Still, the question remains, is this a top-class animal? It's hard to think in recent memory of a more progressive horse to the top level, unraced at 2, of course. Yeah. Mr. Haggis, top connection, as Tom says. Order of Australia, we beat in the Moonland. He is a Breeders' Cup winner. He'll be going back there. What did you make of the form? Is he the right price for the QE2?
Well, he's come a long way in a short space of time, hasn't he, Baaeed? I was at Newmarket for the July meeting, and it was his second start and second win, and he powered home that day, and I thought, oh, he's a good horse. If you'd said to me he'll be winning Group 1 races 2 months later, I would have said, hang on, he won't even be running in a Group 1 race. So he's turned up in a Group 1, he's won it. Not his fault, he won it. He could be the real deal, but he's going to have to bump into Palace Pier at some stage.
9-4 for the QE2, ground dependent, Mr. Haggis says.
Yeah, and if it was, let's say it's perfect ground, and you said to me, OK, you've got Palace Pier or Baaeed, which way do you want to go? I'd rather pull Palace Pier's name out the hat. But that's not to say Baaeed will beat him. And it's just that's why we love the game, isn't it? Yeah. We don't know. He's unbeaten. The public love these unbeaten horses, don't they? They have that sort of sexy profile about them. But let's hope we get a good ground Ascot and they both turn up. And a few others maybe. Poetic Flare might rock up as well. Yeah. The Revenant might turn up.
Yeah,
but
OK, all right. So Baaeed, listen. Just a word from me, if you don't mind. He was. To me, he looked nearly the real deal to me because he had to prove he travelled, he had to go on different circumstances. I know he beat Order of Australia, people weren't happy with that, Snowfall and disappointed, but for me, I think he is the real deal. OK, Pat, the 3,000 guineas, I think, is coming up next, isn't it?
Yes, the Guineas meeting is going to be a 3-day meeting. And when I read it, first of all, I thought, do you know, I'm not sure it could stretch out to 3 days because everyone says about the Guineas that it comes too early on in the season. So I was thinking, OK, we've got the 1,000, the 2,000. The Palace House is normally an OK race. How are you going to pad out the rest of it into a 3-day meeting? Yeah. And then I was thinking, well, hang on, we're in the middle of a 4-day Doncaster meeting. 3-day festivals are OK. And Newmarket's so wide, isn't it? You don't have to worry about ruining the ground. You can have the day 1 on the far side, day 2 in the middle, the Guineas in the centre. So you're not going to worry about the ground. My fear was maybe it'll just be unraced 2-year-olds, small fields. But I think the trainers will get behind it. I mean, it is, 6 weeks to Ascot after that?
They've done it before, and I think they are nicking one back of the later rolly fixtures, aren't they? So it's not like we're adding to this, already, busting fixture list. I think this is a good move. Of course, it makes people think, well, when's Cheltenham going to do it? Is everyone just going to do it? Let's just throw in these extra days and stuff, however. But I think the fact that Newmarket are announcing it in the flat season, when it's nice and current, rather than in the winter, when no one really cares about the Guineas, at that point, I think we can all get behind this. TC, let's come to you for the next one, because last week on the show, as you probably did watch, we said going it alone. Let's go down the topics and... teaming up, basically, isn't it? The polar opposite of going alone. News this week that trainer Fergal O'Brien, top jumps trainer, we can definitely say that at his Ravenswell base, is teaming up with Graham McPherson, another very successful jumps trainer. Of course, Graham does the QCing. He's going to take sort of care of the business side. The merging of yards. Fergal O'Brien says it will be revolutionary for racing. Great Twitter account, of course, Fergal has got. Tom, what did you make of this?
Yeah, it's interesting news, isn't it? Because Fergal O'Brien's obviously a leading trainer, and what we've seen so far with these, with two trainers coming together, mainly on the flat season, they tend to be related. John and Thady Gosden's a good example. Obviously, there are a couple of examples that aren't, William Muir, Chris Grassick, etc. But this is going to be very interesting going into the jump season. Fergal O'Brien trained over 100 winners last year. He posted a real good total with Graham McPherson in the team as well, allowing Fergal to concentrate on the racing. Graham's taking control of the owner's side of it. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they're both brilliant trainers in their own right. Now with the extra firepower, it's just going to be something. It's going to be good to watch. I wonder how many winners they're going to get this year.
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to be an owner there not paying your fees, would you, with Graham McPherson now coming in? Do you know what I mean? Find yourself in front of the beat, wouldn't you? Definitely can't be doing that. But this is a good move. We're seeing more of it. It's been more on the flat so far. This is a powerhouse jump operation merging.
Yeah, and it makes sense on a lot of levels, doesn't it? I mean, Fergal O'Brien, he's a wonderful trainer. And as Tom said, the social media side of it is excellent. it does make an awful lot of sense. And, these things become very fashionable, don't they? And I can see a lot more of it happening in the future.
Yeah, OK. All right, there are your hot topics. 3. We've picked them out for you. Not even talked about Doncaster. What a week that's been. OK, right, as promised, the interview a lot of you will have been waiting for. Earlier this week I caught up with Group 1 Johnny, as I call him, Johnny Murtagh, of course, who's done the big treble, Royal Ascot, Goodwood, and, of course, the Ebor meeting, now bidding for our St Ledger. Let's go and join Johnny, see exactly what he had to say. It was fun. OK, it's a warm, what a shout welcome. Let's go all the way over to his Fox Covert stable base in County Kildare. It's Johnny Murtagh himself joins us. Massive weekend, Johnny. Thanks for coming on What a Shout.
Yeah, listen, thanks very much for having me. A big weekend ahead. Really looking forward to it. A lot of nice runners. So, listen, we're just hoping everything goes well and we can get one over the big weekend.
Yes, absolutely. It's not just, of course, at Leopardstown. Sellout, that's going to be. What a rocking venue that will be. It's also Doncaster as well. Most of the horses are turning up, but there is one absentee, Johnny. Everyone was expecting Create Belief to hopefully have a go at giving you a second Matron Stakes 140 at Leopardstown on Saturday, but the weather gods have not been kind to her.
No, we were hoping there's weather warnings here. It could be flooding, but we haven't got any in Leopardstown. I think they're due 4 mils. The ground is good to firm. It'll probably be perfect ground, but for her to win a Group 1, she probably needs it on the easy side. And we have a few other options, so we're going to just wait, take our time. And, we're in Ireland. We're in the right time of year, so hopefully we get ground on the slow side from now until the end of the year.
Absolutely. I mean, she's a horse that really got the public's imagination, it was a demolition job at Royal Ascot, wasn't it? However, you do have a filly, a more than able deputy. In fact, it's last year's winner in the race. Now, Champs-Élysées not quite gone on with it as some might have expected this year, Johnny, but she came into it on a roll. She graduated from handicaps as a 3-year-old. You get the feeling that she's going to really show her mettle again on Saturday.
Yeah, well, it's been tough. She came up through the handicap ranks and then she won a Group 3 before the Matron last year. But this year she's been running all the top races. We said we'd run her in all the top races. I thought she ran well in Royal Ascot. I thought she was going to run well in the Falmont and she got smashed. And her last run was good. Maybe she didn't get home the last 150 yards. So back to Leopardstown, a mile, fast run race. She's in good shape and, I think she's going there really, really well. So hopefully she can put up a good show. And, hey, the win last year was special. If she could do it again this year, it would be, it would be something else.
It was special, Johnny. Of course, you were known as Group 1 Johnny. You're a jockey that pretty much won it all. That was your breakthrough as a trainer, Johnny, wasn't it? Now, if you go and check out Johnny's website, let me tell you, it's stats-driven. It's there. It's a serious operation on that website. Let's hope I've got this right. I checked with you beforehand, just in case, Johnny. Your first winner as a trainer, June the 1st, 2013, was Baaeed and QE2, right?
That was it.
At Tremor. I've got 256 career winners up to yesterday. One of those on the jumps, 255. Am I right?
Well, it's very stats driven. I'll have to speak to the girls in the office because it's not stats driven by me, but I'm sure it's right because the girls do a great job here. I think the girl, we're proud of our website. It gives you all the details and it's good. It's a good numbers. It's what we're trying to do is build consistency and get better every year. And I think our last 2 years have shown, we're really kind of kicking on. We're getting better horses now. We're able to run in these big races. And, last year was good. This year is a little bit more improving, but we need to finish strong and we need to have a winner in one of these big weekends in front of us. And that's what's going to add, to us building this stable.
You can see it's a hive of industry behind Johnny there as well. The girls just checking out the stats on the website there. Well, Johnny, we're going to get up a graphic now for our viewers which show your top horses so far since you started training by Racing Post ratings. Of course, Mutual Regard right at the top of that. Royal Diamond, Create Belief, who we've mentioned there, Belle de Crecy. All these great horses, there they are. Mutual Regard, of course, was your first Ebor winner. Now, you say you've been getting better year by year, and you need to have a big on the big weekend. Let me tell you, that is being very modest, Johnny, because you've done rather a rare treble. Certainly for an Irish trainer, that's for sure. Royal Ascot, Glorious Goodwood, and the Ebor meeting in the big race itself.
Yeah, listen, that's where we started at the start of the year. We had better horses. We were planning to run to have runners in those big meetings. It's very hard to have them. It's very hard to compete at those big meetings. But I think, as I said, the horses they were in great form all year. But that's in the past now. We're just kind of concentrating on this weekend that's coming. You know, we have Big Day in Doncaster and Leopardstown Saturday, Curragh Sunday. It's a great game race, and you're only good as your last winner. So I haven't had a winner since at the Ebor meeting. So this weekend is a big one for us.
Well, it seems to be the big prizes that you're plundering, so I'm sure it's coming. So let's concentrate on this Ledger Double then, as it's being called this week. Johnny's been doing the houses with the media, as quite rightly so, as you might expect. Let's come to Doncaster then, 3:35, the big race. Here he is, unbeaten on turf, bidding to make it 5 from 5. It's Ottoman Emperor. Now, he was unraced at 2, Johnny. I guess when you're looking at his pedigree, you're thinking, mile 6, not 100% sure. That long testing straight on the town moor. He's a horse that likes to get on with it, am I right?
Yeah, well, there is a question mark over the distance, but he's very lazy in his races, and I think he'll give himself every chance of getting the distance. But you don't quite know. 3-year-olds this time of year, 1 mile and 6, it's a test. But he's improving all year. We don't think we've got to the bottom of him yet. It was a big run. It was a big run in Goodwood. It was a good race. He ran very well, and we're giving him a shot. The favourite is rated 120. He's a top-class horse. He's going to be very, very hard to beat. But I love going into these big races with horses that have won their last 4. They start believing they're good now. And as I said, he's going there in good shape. We're really looking forward to getting him over there.
Yeah, it's fair to say the pressure is all on Hurricane Lane, isn't it? But as we saw last week in the Sprint Cup, never be afraid of one horse. Starman Chinned, of course, by Emirati Anna. OK, so Johnny, that is our version of the Ledger, our last classic. There's also Ireland's last classic as well on Sunday. The Irish St Ledger, a race you have won before, of course, with Royal Diamond. Sonny Boy Lister, one of our favourite headlines of the entire year, landed the knockout punch in the Ebor. Can he step up? He's 3rd top rated according to your handicapper.
Yeah, he's right up there on the ratings. He got £5 for winning the Ebor. The Ebor was very competitive this year. He doesn't have much to make up, as I said, on the ratings. It's a very competitive race. There's a lot of horses with chances. I think he's right there. He came out of the Ebor. He was a little bit tired for the first couple of days, but he came out of the race really, really well. And we're very happy with him. The guy that rides him out, Pablo, he rides him out most days. He rode him this morning. He said he's as good as ever. He feels fresh. Royal Diamond got beaten in the Ebor and he went on and won the Irish Ledger. So it's a familiar path for us. So we're really looking forward to getting them out. And although the rain hasn't come in Leopardstown, there has been a bit of rain over here last night. And the ground should be absolutely beautiful at Curragh this weekend.
Yeah, Sonny Boy Lister, one of the best named horses in training, and isn't he a slugger? Just that. All right, Johnny, that pretty much concludes us. We'll let you get on with your business of training the horses. Let's hope that Ottoman Emperor comes over, travels well. Your best chance for a winner this weekend, Johnny. You've got a massive team, of course, but let's concentrate on the horses we said. Perhaps, is it a tip in itself that you're making the journey over to Doncaster?
I don't know about that, but to win a classic, I never won the race as a jockey, so I would really like to win an English classic. I'd really like to win an Irish classic as well, but don't get me wrong. But to win an English classic is the stuff of dreams. We've had a good run in England so far, so as you said, all the pressure on Hurricane Lane, he has to do it. Hope Ottoman Emperor can come down the outside. Ben Cohen, young jockey. His first classic, my first classic in England, and hopefully it can happen.
Johnny, thanks so much for joining us then here on this weekend's What a Shout. All our fingers crossed for you, man. We'll be giving him a massive cheer. All the best to you and the team for the rest of 2021.
Thank you.
There we go then, Group 1 Johnny. Isn't he just a ray of sunshine when a camera gets on him, Johnny Murtagh? That was excellent, that was. And lots of love out there already from you in social media world. Group 1 Johnny then, it's the matron time. Let's preview that now then, Pat Cooney. The first of 7 Group 1s on the weekend in Britain and Ireland. Mother Earth, what price, man?
Well, she's around about 5 to 4 as we speak at the moment, and rightly so, I feel. I think a lot of these in opposition are Group 2, Group 3 horses. She's a Group 1 winner, and on 2 occasions, she's drawn in stall 2, which is a decent draw for her. you just keep coming back to her first class. I thought 5-4, well, that seems short enough given how the talent in the opposition. But there's some disappointing horses. There's Shale, pretty gorgeous. I think if you go back 10 months, you wouldn't think they would be double-digit prices, but it hasn't quite happened for them. And you notice with Aidan O'Brien, especially with these fillies, they do go on all year, don't they? And they hold their form. If anything, they get better. She just looks to me a rock-solid Group 1 winning filly in the race, and I can't say that about the others based on this season's form. So I suppose she'll be very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, she's tough, TC, isn't she? There's actually talk of her. This could well be her swan song in Ireland. Not sure if she's going to stay around at 4 because she could go down for the Everest, one of the richest sprints on the planet, down at Sydney, of course, later on this year. TC, what did you make of the race?
Well, everything Pat said about Mother Earth is completely true, and she is the most likely winner of this race. But to me, she's a bit short in the market, around 5-4. Aidan O'Brien's had a couple of setbacks in this race previously. We're just looking through the recent Roll of Honour. I was surprised to see that Aidan O'Brien hasn't actually trained the most winners of this race. It's actually John Dunlop with 4, which was very shocking. Look, Mother Earth is going to be the horse to beat. I just thought she had the 1,000 guineas gifted to her by the fact other horses just didn't perform or didn't stay that early in the season. And Frankie gave her a great ride. Then in the pre-Rothschild, her other Group 1 win, there was a bit of scrimmaging in behind with Primo Baccio and the like. And she was just given a great ride on ground that suited. I think she could be vulnerable, though, as I mentioned, she is the most likely winner. The one to take her on with could be Johnny Murtagh's runner, Champs-Élysées, who won this race last year. I just think she's been trained for this race. She's a double-figure price. She loves the long straight at Leopardstown. Last season, she flew down the outside from last to first. She looked to be in a terrible position turning in, but she still managed to pick up all of her rivals. I think this is going to be the day for her. She showed good encouragement last time out as well at the Curragh when she was second. So around 12-1 or whatever price she is, double figure price, I want to take a chance on Champs-Élysées beating the favourite.
Yeah, just got the feeling with Johnny's interview as well that she's bubbling up at the right time. OK, Fav for Pat, Champs-Élysées for Thomas. I'm going to throw one into the mix. Pearls Galore, who won at Tipperary last time. She will run a good race, I tell you. She's run about 6.5-1, I think, isn't she? Yeah. But she got the run of the race that day. You know the one filly that had an absolute Horlicks in that, and it has been a Horlicks of a season, was Pretty Gorgeous, who you mentioned. I've got to give her another chance here. Surely they're not going to hold her up again. She wants at least a mile. You watch her at Royal Ascot behind Alcohol Free. She's coming back at the finish. That looked like she was coming back. It was a tough introduction, wasn't it, for her? She was a little bit late coming back in the Irish Guineas. And then in the Falmouth, she was paceless, really. But I just think if they put a 3rd or 4th in this, she might come over the top of Mother Earth, you know. There wasn't a lot between them at 2. A lot of people will be going, boo, at the telly, because she has infuriated people, hasn't she? But it's Pretty Gorgeous for me. What sort of price am I getting back, Cooney?
Well, she's round about, I think, 10-12-1 at the moment. And bear in mind, she was winter favourite for the 1,000 guineas. But that's a long time ago, remember?
Yes, Joseph O'Brien rolling the dice along with Dave Orton. 2:45. Shall we go to the Irish champion? Why not just the 4 runners? A lot of people were screaming, of course, when they saw the 48-hour decks come in. But we saw with St Mark's Basilica, thankfully taking his chance, in a small field in the Eclipse, no problem whatsoever. Is it a little bit surprising, Tom, to you, that he is odds against currently?
Very much so. And as you literally gave me the intro, I was going to start with my piece here and say there was 4 runners in the Eclipse, and that was a fantastic race. People are complaining about 4 runners in the Irish champion. This is a brilliant race as well. There are 4 top-class horses. I know Patrick Sarsfield potentially just falls slightly below that barrier, but at the same time, you've got Poetic Flay, who's danced every dance and arguably been the best horse of the turf season, in my opinion, just because he's been running in and every single race, basically. You've got St Mark's Basilica, who I think is excellent and deserves to be odds on. I don't know why he's odds against. I think that's a good value bet for St Mark's Basilica. He's shown already that he can handle a small field. Some of these really talented horses need a fast gallop, and therefore a small field would perhaps not be suitable for them. But St Mark's Basilica can obviously do it. He put away a David Mishriff, albeit Mishriff wasn't at his best in the Eclipse. He's the highest rated horse in the world, rated 127. In my opinion, he's the best 3-year-old going over any distance as well, which is obviously quite a lofty claim this year with Hurricane Lane and Adiyar, Snowfall, etc. I think he's a good bet in here, but it's going to be a cracking race. I'm really looking forward to it. One of the best races of the weekend. Absolutely.
End of the year. Great enthusiasm there from TC. And he's right, isn't he? What a year it's been for 3-year-olds. This chap sits at the top of the pile. No pacemaker from Ballydoyle. Odds against with you guys.
Yeah, I think the key to this race, is the trip. If it was over a mile, you could make a better case out for Poetic Flare. If it was over a mile and a half, you'd say Tanawa. Over a mile and a quarter, I know Tanawa's pretty decent over a mile and two. St Mark's Basilica is the 10 furlong horse of the race, isn't he? And on that basis, you have to make him a solid favourite. He's getting more and more popular in the market. I can see him being odds on.
So is this a case of a love affair with Tanawa? She's the 1-1-1. Finished, went to the Breeders' Cup, came back with a bang, of course, albeit in a race she had to win at Leopardstown on her comeback. They're looking at the arc for her. They won't mind a 2 going into that next door name, I don't think. Will she, if St Mark's Basilica is what we think he is? Is it also the ground concern for St Mark's Basilica? All of best form so far is on a deep surface.
That's right. He's gone to France a lot, and soft ground is a key to him. There's some things that you think, if you're pricing things up from the bookmaking side of it, you got to think, give me a reason why it won't win. Give me a reason why it won't win. Well, what about fast ground? Well, good horses go on fast ground, don't they? So
yeah.
I'm not so sure about that one. I just think tactically, how does the race unravel? Does the Bolger horse make it at a slow gallop, control it from the front? Or do you presume poor old Patrick Sarsfield, look, you're the rag of the race.
Well, he's a horse that does race a little bit prominently, isn't he? You know, we see him in France, and he's a solid horse, as TC says, just below the other 3, but he might be the one.
Yeah, but then you have Tanawa. Well, you're the mile and a half horse. Usually you're going to make it. So the tactics are the key. Who knows? Aidan might say to Ryan, you know, you're the best horse in the race. Why don't you just go out and make it?
You know, you have some trainers, don't you, Pat, that you know, hold up. You know, Dave Simcock is always the one that we use. Sorry, Dave, if you're watching this, but all your horses seem to be held up. You never ever see a world horse making all, do you? Or trying to make all. They always sit in the ham-down position, if you like.
That's
just
right.
getting that. So this, I don't know, it's really tactically very difficult to see. Who are you with, Pat?
I'm going with St Mark's because he is the true 10 furlong horse of the race.
Yeah, all right. If Poetic Flare won, so many of you love him out there. Tough. Hats off to him. If Tanawa does it, watch out, Snowfall in the Arc. But I'm with St Mark's Basilica as well. It's a unanimous split. Classic time then, 3:35. Townmoor, Doncaster, let them come out to play in the St Ledger. And Pat, this is since probably Crystal Ocean and of course, you know, Capri won that year with Stradivarius in it. The race has become more sexy. All right, we've seen, you know, last year's forms worked out rather well as well. And we do have a special horse at the head of the market here.
Oh, absolutely. Hurricane Lane is the odds-on favourite. He's virtually unbeaten. His only defeat came in the Epsom Derby when he was 3rd. And he lost both his front shoes that day, so we can rate him even higher than
my
that.
penalty on him as well that day. It's the only time I've really been with him.
But I thought he did well to win an Irish Derby from an uncompromising position. And I only watched his recent win in France the other day, and I thought, wow, that was... I remember thinking at the time, well, that'll win the Ledger. Then you watch it again, and it was such a dominant performance. And he's a little bit unlucky. Adea is his roommate, because maybe connections will say, well, we'll go for the Arc as well. But they were keen to go to the Ledger. So he comes here with so much going for him. I don't think the ground's going to be a concern. Someone said to me, oh, what about the trip? Well, he's not gone over the trip. And I know it's 1.6 miles. The furthest he's gone is 1.5 miles. His mum won over 2 miles. So I can't even give you the trip as a reason why he won't win.
When he was beaten at Epsom, everyone said, well, this is the Ledger horse. And isn't it great to see him here? So we've got a dual Group 1 winning horse at the head of the market, currently at
6-4 on.
Now, everyone's opinion will be their own on that.
Yeah.
We think he's the most likely winner. It's one of those races, isn't it? As we saw with Starman last week, never be afraid of one horse.
That's right.
It can get chinned. And what will the public do with that price? Is it going up or down?
I think the public will latch on him because we touched on it at the top of the show. This is a weekend when all the superstars are running. Snowfall in France. Wherever you go, there's going to be an odds-on favourite. It's very much like your football acres when you've got Celtic, Rangers, Liverpool, and so on. I think this is where all the short ones, they look very, very strong favourites, don't they? And I think the 6-4, I don't think it'll get much, it will ease in the market. If anything, I think it will shorten up. And you're scratching around for each way alternatives. You've got Johnny Murtagh's Ottoman Emperor. Again, he's priced as second favourite, but he has to prove himself, doesn't he?
Beaten on turf.
Well, that's right. But there's other horses maybe backable each way, but the bulk of the market will be on Hurricane Lane, and rightly so. Someone said to me today, but good things get beaten. The Shergott got beaten this. Well, that was 40 years ago.
Mojo Star was ahead of him, TC, in the Derby. Any love for him?
No, I think Hurricane Lane is the most likely winner of the race. Pat's made a great case for him. As he said, he lost both front shoes. I've never been a jockey. You can tell by my size, although I've probably got the weight for a jockey. If I've never ridden a horse, but I imagine if you lose the front two shoes, it's like driving a car with two flat tires. The horse is not going to perform to his best ability. I think he'll reverse the form with Mojo Star. He's definitely the most likely winner of the race. He deserves to be odds on. Do I want to back him at odds on? I don't think so. I'd rather back each way in a race with a good each way shape to it. The one negative, I think, for Hurricane Lane, and it's not the trip, as Pat said, he has the pedigree to stay this distance. I think it's the fact he's coming off a 59-day layoff with the arc around the corner. I don't know if he'll be 100% ready for this. Now, I know that sounds ludicrous because it's the St. Ledger, but the arc is going to be the main aim, and he's just building up towards that. Maybe if he's 90%, I still think he'll win. But I wouldn't want to go in at 4 to 6 on a horse that may not be 100% fit. Therefore, my selection is going to be Salukan. Now, if you look through this race, there just isn't that many other horses in here that you can make a strong case for. Ottoman Emperor has already been touched on, the second favourite for Johnny Murtagh. He won the Gordon Stakes at Goodwood under an aggressive ride by Ben Cohen, but he was always in the right place at the right time that day. He was basically on the shoulder of Wordsworth, who set a steady gallop. Ebor didn't perform, was too keen. And he managed to fend off Salukan in the closing stages. But Salukan was just pace compromised. He was last throughout. He was travelling the best behind steady fractions. And then he finished his race the best of all. He was actually closing on Ottoman Emperor at the line. In maybe another 100 yards, he would have got on top. Last time out in the Great Voltager, he finished 4th, Salukan. It was arguably a disappointing display. But again, he was pace compromised. He sat last in the race. They didn't go fast. At York, which favours prominent racers, he moved through the race and actually joined the leaders with 2 furlongs to run before being outstayed and flattening out when Ebor kicked for home. I like the booking of James Doyle. I don't know why he's gone out 4 points in price since jockey bookings were announced. That was a bit astounding to me. I like the trip for him. He's already won over a mile 5 and is bred to stay. I think he's just going to pick up the pieces. This race is going to be run at a good gallop with the Mediterranean and Interpretation stablemates going forward. I think he's the horse to run it through the race, travel well, finish second or third behind Hurricane Lane, or win if Hurricane Lane doesn't perform to his best.
Has TC mentioned the Ballydoyle buzzer, of course, because high definition was supplemented for the race. He's, of course, at the public love, Pat. And Frankie Dettori, of course, rode Salukan at Goodwood. He's on this chat.
Yeah, we were all wondering how the jockey bookings would go. But I remember thinking at the start of the week, if they've supplemented high definition, paid 50,000, I would imagine Frankie would be on that. And we were talking about winter favourites early on. Well, he was winter favourite for just about everything, wasn't he? And it hasn't happened. They're persevering with him. I think first time cheek pieces. Yeah. You know, it's sort of almost and the kitchen sink him, really, isn't he? But he's always looked the type that wants a trip.
Yeah.
And I could see the punters saying to themselves, well, look, I backed him in this. I backed him out. I can't let him go unbacked.
Right, okay, yeah.
And I could see him emerging as the one that's going to shorten up from current prices.
I think so.
Just because people think, hang on, I backed him for the Derby. I backed him for this.
He has got form with Hurricane Lane, of course, in the Dante when he flew home, didn't he?
That's it.
Way behind.
So he could be the one that shortens up. I tend to, jump ship pretty quick with these types of horses, but I can see him being there, running on strongly.
Yeah, this association with Frankie and Aidan O'Brien, we saw it with Mother Earth in the Classic. It's been fruitful ever since, of course, and in the Oaks too. Is Frankie on the right one? Let us know, get your comments below. For what it's worth, I'm sticking with the Derby form. In the without market, I'll be all over Mojo Star. Get the occasional Sunday treat here on What a Shout. Oh, a bonanza for you because, of course, it's Irish St. Ledger Day. So somehow still a classic. That is it still the weakest of the Group 1s anywhere in Europe. We'll get to it. Before that, we must look at a sizzling Group 1 for you. 255, the Flying Five. The sprint division, Pat Cooney, all year has been absolutely ignited again, despite the fact that some have gone by the wayside. Batage now no longer there. I'm all over one here, but tell me what the market's saying.
Well, the market is probably going to make Winter Power favourite for the race, and why not? She won the Nunthorpe, and it was hugely impressive. Everything was gorgeous to watch. The form got boosted, didn't it? Emiratiana was second. That came out and won the Haydock Sprint Cup. So I get it. She's super quick and so forth. My one concern about her, is she just a York-only horse?
Yeah.
Her best performances by a long way have just come at York. Flat track, she gets off in front and away she goes. This is going to be harder for her at the Curragh. It's a stiffer track. And on that basis, I think she could be deemed opposable. Kevin Ryan, the trainer of Glass Slippers, he was on this show, a month or so ago. Yeah. And he said, with Glass Slippers, she's not going to run in the Nunthorpe. We're going to stick to what we did last year. She'll go to the Flying Five in Ireland. So this is very much part of her plan. Obviously, she's got Prix de l'Abbé, Breeders' Cup aspirations. But, you know, I very much respect the fact that he was very quick to nominate the Flying Five for her. Throw in Dragon Symbol, you've got really, really a tremendous race. So
Oisin gave us the steer on that a couple of weeks ago on the show, didn't he? That was sort of breaking that was he's not going to take on Starman. We're going to go to Ireland. He just said, I remember touching his head, we need a decent draw. So it looks like there's some pace around him. I wonder, though, can he see off the fillies? You're absolutely right about Winter Power. Before we get selections, let's see what TC thinks. This is a belter, Tom, right?
Yeah, it's a brilliant race. I don't think I should do this show anymore because Pat just keeps coming up with the same thing.
Oh, it's the American thing. It's getting a bit boring, is it? Do you live in Reading as well, by any chance? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's gone then. Take it away.
Well, my one downside towards Winter Power, albeit she's very fast, is the fact that I think she's a York specialist. All of her best runs come there. I don't think she's going to be able to replicate the same level of form as she did in the Nunthorpe. And she's backing up reasonably quickly after a massive career best. I think she's worth taking on at the prices. Glass Slippers is the one. She was just so impressive last year in this race. Then she bolted up at Keeneland. I didn't think she was going to win the Breeders' Cup that day, but she managed to fly through the pack in the turf sprint. And then she's had the same kind of prep this year. I like that she's been lightly raced. She only had one start and she finished third behind Swayser in the King George. That's good form. Swayser obviously didn't get the run of the race in the Nunthorpe. Not the right track for her, or maybe trip old ground. But I like that this has always been the aim. She comes here as second favourite. I think she's the best filly or mare now with a 5-year-old in this race. She's like 130 or something. I think she should be favourite.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom, all the way. Are you a Slippers fan?
Yeah, Slippers for me.
Unanimous as well. All of a sudden, I'll be Yankee Doodle dandling all over the place, won't I? She's in A1 form. Spoke to Connections about her this week. Tom Eves is going over to ride. Tom is perfect for her. The comeback run at Goodwood was probably better than they were expecting. I think she had a slightly truncated preparation coming in, but she is in A1 form. If Winter Power does what she did in the Nunthorpe, she'll come fifth. Because it's this rising finish, and we've seen her on rising finishes each way. Exactly. It's a funny race, the Nunthorpe, as well. She was perfectly placed with Golden Pal going way too quick, and she was sort of best placed, wasn't she? And she is a York specialist. I think that Dragon Symbol is the bigger danger, without question. And Gustav Weston, think about him. There's a filly in there called Romantic Proposal as well, who absolutely loves the Curragh. This is an absolute belter, but it is all about the Glass Slippers. She's going to shatter that record. 4:05. It's another Group 1. It is the National Stakes. When Thunder Moon won this last year, as you probably remember on this show, I thought I'd seen the second coming. It doesn't always work out like that, but a lot of people will believe we've already seen it in Point Lonsdale, Pat Cooney. He's going to be odds on. He's got 111s next to his name. Yeah. Are they striking while the iron's hot with this chap, do you think? Because usually when a horse gets to the Guineas as a favourite for Ballydor, it might have 3 runs, maybe 2 or 3. They seem to be, I don't know, a bit more fashionable to run more at 2 now.
Yeah, they're keeping him busy, aren't they? And it's interesting how softly they've gone with him. He won his maiden, then he won Royal Ascot. We beat Reach for the Moon, of course, so that looks pretty good for him. Then he won his Group 3, then he won his Group 2, now he's in a Group 1. So softly with him. He looks the part. I'm not really going wow about him just yet.
A lot of people aren't.
No, you just get the feeling. I mean, when you look at the Guineas and the Derby prices, I think he's favourite for both at the moment, and 20-1 bar. You just get the feeling that one of Aiden's will come out and win a maiden at the Curragh by the end of the year, and yeah, that's the one. So he's there, he's doing it, he looks thoroughly professional, and I suppose he'll win this. But I'm still not going wow about him just at the moment. You've got Native Trail of the Godolphins. Good to see them going over and throwing their hat in the ring. Now, he won a race that we sponsored, the Bet365 Superlative at Newmarket last time, and he was pretty much all out to win that. I think there was about 7 or 8 in a line at the furlong pole. And I remember thinking, I don't think we've seen a star here. But speaking to Connections after the race at the Trophy, they were saying, he's a right good horse. He just needs to have the experience and to mature a bit more. But he is a Group 1 horse. Yeah. So he must be working well for them. They could have stayed in England and run it in Doncaster.
He was in the Champagne.
He was, yeah.
Along with Reach for the Moon. I'm with you, Pat. Native Trail. I'm sure the market will say this is going to be clear second valve. So we've got a bookmaker, and what I meant to say was, when I said a lot of people are not sure about Point Lonsdale, it's mainly bookmakers I talk to that are sensing we're going to get this one at some point. You wonder whether it might be Sunday. And I wonder what will happen with the price, because Native Trial, I know that Godolphin absolutely love this boy. Watch back that Newmarket run. He needs every single yard of the trip. This track's going to suit him a lot better. Any rain in the ground will suit him as well. I remember speaking to Keels on this show when we did the debrief for that, and he goes, definitely wants softer ground, this horse. And again, something you get on the member section at the Racing Post, watch back the finish after the line. The July course is often the best for that because they can just keep galloping and galloping. You often see eye catchers all over the place. He takes loads of pulling up. For me, I think he could do a Corto, and I think he could upset the apple cart. Tom Collins is also sensing a defeat for the favourite.
Well, I wouldn't say sensing a defeat, but my play wouldn't be just to take the favourite at 1-2 and back him. That wouldn't be my ploy in most races anyway. Odds on favourites aren't my bag. I'd be looking more towards the forecast angle or betting without favourite markets. Look, I think Point Lonsdale's going to win the race. He's 4 from 4. His Chesham victory was really impressive over Reach for the Moon, who's a good horse, rated 114. He hasn't beaten much in Ireland the last twice, but I love the way he goes through his races. And yeah, he hasn't been visually impressive, but you don't have to be visually impressive. The likes of Essential Quality in the States, champion 2-year-old, Travers winner, Belmont winner, not visually impressive at all. Workman-like game and gets the job done. I think that's Point Lonsdale over an inadequate trip. That's all he does. He's a full brother to Broome. He'll probably win over a mile 4 next year, maybe in the Derby. So I think he wins from the front. And the horse to take him on with, although I do like Native Trail. I was at Sandown when he made his debut. He completely takes the eye in the paddock. I was stood next to Ken Pitterson, obviously seen on ITV as the paddock judge. He said he loved this horse. I was also taken by him. But I think Duke of Sessa is the one to take him on with, or Duke of Sessa, for forecast plays. He was so impressive last time out. Yes, he didn't beat a very good field in a maiden, but he travelled through the race like a group horse. And once he was asked for any kind of effort, he quickened away just in an instant. You blinked and he was gone. He was 3 lengths clear, wasn't asked for maximum effort. He represents leading connections, Joe Lyons, Colin Keane. I think he could be the one to trouble Point Lonsdale over this trip, but I still think the favourite gets it done.
All right then, so the favourite, 1-1-1-1-1, but we're not totally sure. Aidan O'Brien, effusive in his praise for Point Lonsdale. Do you love him? Let us know below. Final big race preview on this weekend's What a Shout. It's classic time. Now, I said at the start of these Irish previews on a Sunday, and I'm not being disparaged about it, this has been a weak Group 1. Never mind a classic. It's not even all age. It's the Irish St Ledger. And Twilight Payment, a god of a horse that he is for Irish followers, and now, of course, Aussie followers, won the Melbourne Cup. He's tough, he's solid, but he has been beaten in this race, including last year. He's your fav.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, this, isn't it? It's nice to have a classic where you're looking at the market thinking, I don't even know what will be favourite, never mind what will win it. It's just that type of a race. There's horses with all strands of form coming together. You've Sonny Boy Liston, an Ebor winner.
Yeah.
And you think, well, was it a good Ebor this year, though? But it usually is. So he's very much in the equation. And when I was looking at the race, I was thinking, well, Baron Samadi, he's in there. Twilight Payment, you've mentioned him. I just kept coming back for last year's winner, Search for a Song, trained by Dermot Weld. Now, we've not seen her for a long time, really. But the fact that Dermot Weld's running her in this after the layoff, she must be sending out the right signals.
This was the plan, I think, right from the start again, obviously, was to get this done.
That's right. And you hear people like Dermot Weld, John Gosden, they always say how the quality of racing is stacked towards the second half of the season. So I'm sure Dermot's looking at this race thinking, well, the Irish St Ledger, yeah, then maybe Ledger, Longchamp Arc Weekend, Breeders' Cup and so forth. I would imagine he'll have a pretty much cherry ripe for this. I would personally rather if she'd have had a prep run for it, like Tanawa has recently. But in Dermot we trust, so I'll go for last year's winner.
Yeah, that's interesting because, of course, Sonny Boy Liston and Twilight Payment both coming off wins. You wonder how harder races they've had. That would be my slight concern with Sonny Boy Liston, and I'm with you. I think Search for a Song, I'm not worried about it. We saw it with Hamish, didn't we, of course?
Yes.
In September, States going and beating a battle hard and Hookham. First time out, these trainers can get it done, Tom. Baron Samedi, he's been over to the States. Doubtless you're tipping him.
No, I'm not tipping him.
Oh, unbelievable. Ring the bells.
Yeah, look, I actually tipped him when he went to the States and he won really well. Last time out, I thought...
he had to get that in, didn't he? A low blow, fair play, TC.
Bit of after timing. You have to get it in every now and again. Yeah, I thought it was a bit disappointing last time home Broome. I don't think he's a proper Group 1 horse over here anyway. In the States, it's weaker competition on the turf, especially over this kind of trip. So, look, I'm just siding with Pat and yourself, Dave. Search for a Song is a selection. Dermot Weld is absolutely trained her to the minute for this, I'm sure. He did last year. She came off a similar break. She didn't run between July and September. Last season, she bolted up in this. Twilight Payment was 2.25 lengths behind. I think it's going to be the same kind of story once again. She wasn't 100% on her last run, over an inadequate mile, 2.5 furlongs, but she still travelled through the race well. She was wide throughout, 4 wide round in the bend. I think she's the horse to be on again for a third Irish St Ledger in a row.
There you go then. We're all seeing the ball big in the final classic of the season. It is the Irish St Ledger. Nap time then on a marvellous weekend of flat racing here on What a Shout for you viewers out there. Now, guys, this is a new thing. 3 times we have agreed in unison. So I guess if you wanted, and some people will be thinking about doing it, to do a Trixie out there to remind about, it was St Mark's Basilica, we all agreed on that.
We did.
Glass Slippers, we all agreed on her. And TC, Search for a Song, that was the other one?
Yeah, Search for a Song, that's the 3, isn't it?
All right, okay, so get your Trixie up if you fancy that with Bet365. That will pay handsomely. That's the serious ones. I'm going to take the floor if you don't mind, guys. 1:45. I used to love it when the Portland was run on a Friday. They've moved it to the Saturday, but I will be cheering home. Paul Keeley is going to be livid about this. It won when he wasn't on last weekend. Mondamedge in the Portland. He's coming good. Mentally got it right, hasn't he? 5.5 furlongs. Cam Hardy, you've got to be drawn eye on this. There's pace all around him. Thought Intrinsic Bomb was the danger. Mondamedge, the first time I'm ever tipping him. Oh, come on, rub it up Keeley's nose. That would be great. Pat Cooney.
Well, I'm going to the all-weather at Lingfield. There's method to the madness there because it was an unsettled weather forecast, wasn't it, this weekend? So I thought, well, we'll just stick to the all-weather then. So we're off to the 5:20 May Song. It doesn't win too often.
Is this the Ed Dunlop thing?
This is the Ed Dunlop
I've gone for Mondamedge, you've gone for Mason. He's even bigger nutter, isn't he, I think?
Yeah, he's not a great strike rate, it must be said, but he's been beaten off 66 and 67 recently. His run last time, he did everything but win. He's off 69 on Saturday, but he's won off a higher mark, and he just looked like a horse who had finally got his act together, and a reproduction of last week's run, I think would be good enough. Kieran Fallon aboard. It'd be a fair price because of his strike rate, but he did everything but win last time out.
Global stars gracing the turf all over the place, every country you look at. Pat Cooney keeping it real, he's going to Lingfield for his nap. Tom Collins, bring us back up, man. Give it something. Who's the superstar you're napping?
Well, anyone who took the odds on that I was going to nap in America, you're wrong. You've lost your money. We're sticking to the UK stuff. The 220 at Doncaster, the Champagne Stakes, a race I really like. So does Richard Hannon. He's won the race 3 times in the last 7 years. When Richard Hannon Sr. was training, he won it with Toronado as well. It's a race to stable target. I love Lusail in here. He's against Reach for the Moon, who's a very good colt. But Lusail has been improving for every start this season. If you look at Racing Post ratings, he's right up there with the best 2-year-olds over this trip. He's going to be fancy for the Guineas next year. He was really impressive in the Gym Crack last time with a strong late burst. I think the step back up to 7 furlongs will suit. This is the race for Lusail. This has been the seasonal target. I like him around 2-1.
I like that, TC. I can absolutely see that. And again, the Champagne Stakes, the Moyglare, we've not mentioned that. The racing, it's high-class stuff. What a weekend. We've even thrown a Trixie in for you. Well, that's all we've got time for then on this weekend's What a Shout. And what a time it has been. A double header of weeks for you coming into the studio, Pat. People have loved that. Thanks very much. What does the weekend hold, my man?
Well, I'm just going to be head down watching all the races, studying form, and record and play buttons at the ready.
WhatsApping TC when it comes to Belmont and all that sort of thing, NFL and whatever.
Then hopefully watch the NFL on Sunday evening, having watched the likes of Snowfall and all these
Raducanu as well in the US Open.
Yes, she's 6-4 on to win the US Open. Who would have thought that?
What price was she at the start?
I think she was about 1 gazillion to 1, and the girl she's playing in the final would have been an even bigger price.
Oh, so you're loving life then all of a sudden to sit back and light the cigar with that one.
Yeah, so I'm all things to all sports at the moment.
Wasn't it great to have Pat Cooney joining with us? He'll be back, don't you worry about it later on. Jump season coming up. TC, great stuff. Lovely to have you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, cheers, Dave. And Pat, it's been a brilliant morning. Hopefully a few winners tipped up as well. Looking forward to Sky Sports Racing for some stateside action tomorrow night, and then the NFL on Sunday.
Never rests, TC, does he? OK, what a great panel it has been. What a great interview that was as well with Johnny Murtagh. Racing Post has been giving us loads of lovely nuggets and in video there for you as well. Thanks for joining us then. It's been absolutely wonderful. Don't forget, safe gambling, please. There's so much racing on this weekend. Do pick your targets. Do, of course, download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store itself. Well, whatever your sport is, there's loads of it out there. There's mainly horse racing here, though. We love it. Enjoy it.